Trust that everything happens for a reason, and that reason is for the best. I believe there's no other way to go about living life. There is no other way worthwhile. To think that things don't happen for a reason and that they don't happen and that those reasons aren't for the best, I think it's very hard to bear a lot of situations, to bear a lot of hardships, to make it through a lot of tough, difficult times. And I don't believe this notion should just be accepted on blind faith. I don't believe you should accept anything on blind faith. But there's rationality, I believe, in believing that everything happens for a reason and everything happens for the best. I like the term more like everything happens for a reason and that reason is for the best. Same thing, but I just like that terminology better. Um, and how you can view this rationally, I believe, is there's no way to prove this, obviously. There's no logical explanation, but you can look at all the other opinions you could hold about everything that happens. You can look at how potentially saying that this didn't happen for a reason and that this happened for didn't happen for the best, it just happened. And that doesn't really help you bear anything. That doesn't really help you bear anything nobly. You can think that things happen for the worst reasons, and that doesn't help you either. That's just, that's just nihilism. That's not helpful at all. That's, cynicism with a cynicism with a lowercase c, not true cynicism. True cynicism is a noble pursuit, if you ask me. And you can't just know what cynicism is on the face value. You actually have to know what it is and look back at ancient Greece. Stoicism was basically founded from cynicism. Um, and yeah, it's not what it is nowadays. Capital C cynicism is a profound pursuit, I believe. Um, but so those two situations, they don't help you at all. And rationally, reasonably, to help yourself is a good thing. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. So taking the view that everything happens for a reason and that reason is for the best will help you bear situations the best, will help you act with reason the best, and will help you have the most positive outlook on the situation. And I think that's a reasonable conclusion to come to if you're bearing every situation as happening for the best. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And there's nothing to say it's right, but there's also nothing to say it's wrong. And when you find yourself in a position like that, I think it's very valuable to rationalize which one is better for you. If neither can be proven, which view should I hold? I think about this a lot with God as well. You know, I believe rationally that God cannot be proven. And well, maybe he could if he came down and, something so crazy happened that, you had to say, well, that has to be God. Um, but anything that's happened, I mean, I've never seen anything. I've never seen any proof personally. So I'm speaking from experience. But I've also never seen proof that God doesn't exist. So I personally take the view that God does exist because I think the world would be a better place if everyone believed in a higher God to seek approval from a higher thing. And yeah, I just believe the world would be a better place if everyone took the view that God was real and God was benevolent and God was good. I think the world would be a better place. So I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that view because neither can be proven. But reasonably, rationally, logically, I believe your life will be better if you hold the latter view. So I believe you should rationally look into everything, but amor fati, a love of one's fate, from Nietzsche is it's why not? Why not love your fate? Why not love the things you can't change? What's the alternative? To shake your fist at the sky? To curse your fate? To curse your destiny? To curse your past? What's the point? What good does that do? You need to detach yourself from the situation and look at it rationally. These are the cards that I have been dealt. Now I can't choose the cards I have been dealt, but I can choose how I play the cards. I can choose how I view these cards. I can choose how I go about playing this hand out. And I should spend more time focusing on the cards I have instead of wishing for cards that I don't have or cursing the cards that I have because I don't believe they're good. I gotta stop saying I don't know how many times I've said it in this video, but my last video I said like 100 times. So I'm sorry if I say a lot. Marcus Aurelius tells us that there's no wanting things to happen as they do. There is no greater harmony. There's no greater harmony than wanting things to happen as they do. And I think that's sound philosophy. Why, what advantage do you have from not wanting things to happen as they do? What do you gain? Like I said, what do you gain from shaking your fist, at the sky, cursing God or cursing the universe? You know, sorry. Um, you gotta view these things rationally, and that's why I love Stoicism so much. Stoicism, I think, like a lot of things nowadays, has a bad rap for no reason. I believe Nietzsche has a bad rap for no reason. I believe Stoicism. I mean, it's looked at in a good light nowadays, I guess, but it's in the wrong light. People believe that Stoicism is hiding your emotions, not burying your emotions down. And everyone's so quick to say, "I know that's bad for you. Stoicism's bad." But that's not what Stoicism says. And same thing with cynicism. Cynicism was, the founder of Stoicism, Zeno, was a student of a cynic. And cynicism was more like, it was like a hardy version of Stoicism, sleep on the ground, do hard things because they're hard, but also be kind to people, also be benevolent. Virtue is the highest good for a cynic. Virtue and wisdom is the highest good for cynics, but they also just believe in hardship, involuntary hardship. Like taking a cold shower would be something a cynic would do. Sleeping on the ground, voluntarily giving into poverty. But nowadays people say hear cynic and they're like, oh, he's a nihilist. He's nihilist. Yeah, he's a nihilist, and he wants to see the world to burn. It's like, okay, yes, that's a type of cynicism nowadays, I guess. But that's not what it was. And maybe there's a version of stoicism nowadays where people say hide your emotions, but that's not what it was, and that's not what I believe in. I believe in the ancient, Greek stoicism, the Roman stoicism, where they say there's nothing wrong with being afraid. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. There's nothing wrong with trembling with fear. There's nothing wrong with your voice shaking when speaking to someone you're afraid of or you're shy of. There's nothing wrong with feeling desires, feeling lustful desires. Nothing wrong with feeling pleasure or wanting to take pleasure in something. There's nothing wrong with these things. They are natural human emotions that we cannot stop. They just come. You feel anger. It just comes. It just washes over you. A stoic would not, smack you with a ruler because you're angry. He would smack you with a ruler because you punched somebody in the face or you yelled at somebody, because that you have control over. He would criticize you for complaining, not not feeling like you're being you're being what's the word? You're not being treated correctly, and you feel like you're being the right word is I'm losing it. But like not feeling like you're being treated correctly, and wanting to complain. A stoic wouldn't say that's bad. Complaining is bad though. Assenting to the emotion, letting the emotion come over you and acting upon it. Don't bury it. Feel it. Feel it as a natural thing. Feel lust. By acting with lust, that is bad. That is where there is no wisdom and there isn't virtue, there is vice. But the natural inclination is not vice. There's a story about a stoic, an unnamed stoic, and he's on a ship and it's not looking good. It looks like the ship's going to go down. It looks like everyone's going to die. And the captain of the ship notices, there's a bunch of men, and one of them's the stoic. And he's a prominent stoic. He's not just like, I'm a stoic. He's like a teacher, a prominent stoic teacher. He's well known from Greece. And he notices that, everyone's scared that they're going to die. And then he looks at the stoic, and he's just as white, he's just as pale as the rest of the man. The only difference is the stoic isn't, cursing God. He isn't shaking his fist. He isn't complaining. He's scared out of his wits. He's pale. You can tell he's afraid he's going to die, but he's not. He's acting rationally. He's doing what he needs to do. He's getting buckets and he's throwing the water overboard. He's he's manipulating the sails. And after, they survive, and after they're out of the, crazy storm, the guy on the ship asks him. He says, and it's said that he asked out of curiosity, not like, oh, what was that all about, stoic? Like, I thought you weren't supposed to feel pain. And he's like, well, that was interesting. I saw you just as scared as the rest. Like, can you explain to me why you were, if you're a stoic? And he says, the teaching of stoicism says that there's nothing wrong with being afraid. There's nothing wrong with feeling fear. But there is something wrong with letting that fear stop you from making rational decisions. You can't stop it if you're afraid. If you're afraid of spiders, I'm afraid of spiders. You can't stop that initial, step back when you see a big spider, or you can't stop that initial step back. But the next choice is up to you. The next choice you can detach and you can rationally decide. Should I be scared of this thing that doesn't even weigh a pound? That if, push comes to shove, I could kill like that? Should I really be afraid of this thing? And should I really let it stop me from acting with virtue and wisdom? And the Stoic would say no. And the Stoic would say, that's where you're at fault. You are not at fault for being afraid. You are not at fault for, they say like blushing and, your voice shaking and, trembling. You're not at fault for that. Those are natural human emotions that just come. You don't give in to them, they just happen. But you choosing not to act with courage in despite of that, that is the problem. So I believe we need to view everything rationally. And rationality can be used in viewing that everything happens for a reason and that reason is for the best. Because it's rational to view that no other view is worth taking. No other view is worth taking. Wanting things to happen as they do, no greater harmony, no other view is worth taking. You will not have a better life taking any other view. I believe you can use rationality in that way. Don't trust your feelings. Don't trust your first impression. Just trust your first impression, but don't assent upon your first impression. And what I mean by that is, say we'll use the shipwreck for example. Trust that you're scared and trust that the ship might sink. But where we really get in trouble is when we start assenting from that. The ship might sink and I might suffer a horrible death. There's no need for that. The ship may sink. Stay there. Okay, what can I do to prevent the ship from sinking? Okay, I can go shovel out buckets of water. Stay with the first impression. Don't go, the ship may sink. That means we're going to be in the water soon. And that means we're super far from land. And that means we're going to drown and then we're going to die and then no one's going to know. And so on and so forth. Stick with the first one. The ship's going to sink. Okay, step back. What can I do rationally? Okay, I can maneuver the sails. I can I can get a bucket of water and dump out the water. Don't let yourself assent, because that is within your control. That's why it's very powerful to pause, I believe. To pause and to think of things rationally and not letting yourself assent to conclusions that you don't want to assent to. You have been given the gift of rationality and you should use it. You should use it to make calm, rational decisions. Always. If you don't feel anything, then you're not enduring it. This is what Seneca tells us. If you don't feel fear, then you're not acting with courage. If you don't have the desire to eat the ice cream, then you're not showing discipline, you're not showing temperance, you're not showing moderation. If you don't have the desire to sleep with her and she asks you, you're not showing discipline. You need to feel these things to show them. I work out 6 days a week and I've been doing it for a while now. And I meal prep, and I eat pretty healthy. And people from the outside looking in probably think I'm a pretty disciplined person. In some ways, I'd say yes. In other ways, in those ways, I would say no. I love going to the gym. I actually thoroughly enjoy going to the gym. I spent a lot of my life not going to the gym and not eating healthy. And I can tell you 100% for certain, I feel a lot better, physically, emotionally, mentally, everything with going to the gym and eating healthy. So for me, it doesn't take that much discipline. It doesn't take that much discipline. I don't really like sweets that much. It doesn't take that much discipline for me to say no. And, a lot of people will think, I'm living a life without any pleasures because I don't like eating ice cream or because I don't want to eat like I don't want to have a piece of candy. But it's like I really don't. It's like I really don't. I'm not gonna feel good after because it's a lot of sugar. I don't eat sugar like that anymore, so it bothers me. And I have goals that are not gonna help me towards those goals. So for me, it's just irrational. I don't want to do it. So I'm not showing that much discipline. But every morning, I've been telling myself every day, because for a while I started taking cold showers in the morning. And, it took discipline. It took discipline. I did not want to do it. And, I got out of it. And now I've been telling myself, you're going to do it again because I don't want to do it. Because I don't want to do it. And that's real discipline. And I haven't been doing it. Every morning I wake up and sometimes I go for a walk. But lately I've just been taking a shower and wanting to get into the day. Um, and, I step in the shower. The water's nice and hot. And I think about turning that knob and making it cold. And I say no. I say no. And that right there is where I have a chance to show discipline because I don't want to. I don't want to do what I said I was going to do. I don't want to do the hard thing that I know I should do. That's discipline. And yeah, some days, I don't want to go to the gym. It's rare, honestly, fortunately for me, but there are some days where I don't want to go. And I got to muster up the courage, but they're rare. They're few and far between. And usually when I feel that way, I think it's because I've been overtraining, and I've worked out like 6 days in a row, and I've gone for hikes a couple weekends in a row, and it's like I think about it, and I was like, well, I haven't had a rest day in like a month, and I've been working pretty hard at work. Like I have a physical job. It's like blue collar, I guess. Um, it is. But so I'm just like usually when I don't want to work out, it's like okay, that's a sign that I'm overtraining because I love it. And when I go there and I'm so tired and so weak from just overdoing everything, then usually it's a sign I need to just take a rest day. But sometimes it is like, yeah, I don't really want to go today. And I got to muster up some discipline, but it's really not that hard. But something like taking a cold shower, hard. I want to start running. I hate running, hard. And that's where you can show discipline. That's where you can show discipline. If you don't feel it, then you're not enduring anything. You're not doing anything. You're not if you're not afraid, then you're not showing courage. If everyone who goes to war is not courageous. Some people who go to war just want to kill. And some people who go to war don't want to kill, but they want to defend their country. They want to they want to protect the people they love. And they don't want to kill and they don't want to die. But they want to go home with freedom and their families and their loved ones still alive and not under rule. And that's courageous. If you just go into a war to kill, if you just fight to fight, you're not afraid of death and you're not afraid of killing, then you're not courageous. You may be standing next to courageous men. You may be doing the same thing a courageous man is doing, but it matters how you feel inside. If I go to the gym and I truly want to go. I truly want to be there. And it'd be harder for me not to go to the gym than to go to the gym. I'm not showing discipline. I could be there with people in the complete opposite shoes, and they're showing discipline. You know, that guy in the corner who does not want to be there, who doesn't want to eat healthy, who doesn't want to do any of these things, but he tells himself, you know, I need to get in better shape. You know, I want to be able to play with my son. You know, I don't want to be overweight anymore. You know, this is what I have to do. You know, I'd love, you know, sitting down and playing video games and eating junk food, but I love my son more and I want to live longer. That person is showing discipline. We may be doing the same workout. I may be training harder than him, but if I thoroughly love it, if I thoroughly enjoy it, it's not discipline. It's not generosity if you feel better for doing it and you truly want to do it. And, you know, say you have $5 and you see a person who's asking, you know, has a sign, he says, anything helps. And you're like, all right, I can spare $5 today. You know, I can spare $5 today. You know, this guy looks pretty decent. You know, he doesn't look like he does drugs. Looks like he maybe just got dealt a bad hand recently and just needs a little help. So you give him $5. You need to ask yourself, how would you have felt if you didn't give him $5? Would I have felt better for giving him $5? Or would I have felt better for not giving him $5? And you got to make a decision based off that. If you would have felt better for not giving him $5 because you could have, you know, invested it, you know, $5 in, you know, Bitcoin. $5 in Bitcoin 10 years ago is like $100,000 right now. So that $5 could have been a $100,000 investment. You know, if you put it in the right area, put it in the right asset. If you say, but you say, no, no, I believe I'll feel better if I don't give this man money, but I think I should be generous. Then you're being generous. But if you think about it and you say, well, if I didn't give that man $5, I would have felt like a piece of crap. You know, I'm pretty well off. I'm pretty fortunate. Um, you know, $5 really means nothing to me. I should have gave him $5. You know, now I feel bad. Then you giving him $5 was so you don't feel bad. You know, two people can give a homeless man $5, and one could be selfish and one could be generous. It's all about how you feel. It's all about your intentions. It really is. It really is. Some people are naturally virtuous, and some people have to try very hard to be virtuous. Some people's hearts are huge, and some people's hearts are small. And some people want to have big hearts who have small hearts. And those people, they're showing generosity. And some people who have big hearts, they can't not help somebody or they're going to feel so bad. And it's weird, but they're acting selfishly. You know, the action is good. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but you got to see where the intention is, where your intention is. You know, maybe you don't even think about that fact, and maybe you know you are well off and you did act generously because that fact didn't even cross your mind. But you know, there's a lot of stuff going on subconsciously, and you'd be a fool to deny what the subconscious is thinking has any effect on what you're doing, because it does. It does. Your subconscious has an immense effect on how you act. So just try to remember that. Try to remember that. Because for a while I thought of myself as a disciplined person. You know, I eat healthy. I eat the same thing typically every day, more or less. I eat decent portions. I go to the gym. I thought I'm pretty disciplined. But it would be harder for me not to do those things than to do those things at this point in my life. So am I really disciplined? Or am I just acting selfishly for self interest in the stuff that I like doing and the stuff that comes easy to me? I believe the latter. Um, that's why I want to start doing hard things again. So I used to do hard things because they were hard. I used to wear shirts and a t-shirt year round because it was cold out. I'm from Maine, so February going to school in a t-shirt and shorts. You know, I was the only one typically, and I used to do it because it was hard. I used to do it because I told myself it's a mindset, and it is. But back then, I think it was more out of vanity than discipline. And as Marcus Aurelius says, is vanity really so much better than wisdom? And I believe no. So I can't let it be. Because now, I can't do it anymore. Now I got my oversized tees and I got my sweatpants on and it's like 70 and I'm like looking for a hoodie. um, so my vanity used to be stronger than my wisdom is now. And I don't believe that's right. So I need to be better and act more disciplined in the things that I don't want to do and the things that are hard for me to do, like taking cold showers, going for runs, talking to people, having the hard conversation, attempting loveliness towards strangers. These are things I believe I should do, and these are things that I struggle doing, and I will need to show discipline to do. And discipline's a beautiful thing because you'll be able to do the hard things when it counts. There's Andrew Huberman. I remember an episode talking about willpower, and there's like something in your brain that it grows when you show willpower, but it has to be something you don't want to do. It has to be something that's hard. And if you don't do it, you could, like I said, one person could go to the gym. You both could go to the gym. One person wants to go, one person doesn't want to go. The person who doesn't want to go but goes is growing that portion of their brain. The person who goes and wants to go is not growing the portion of their brain because it's not hard for them. Things are hard for different people. Just because an action by society is known as a disciplined action, like eating healthy or going to the gym or going for runs, doesn't mean it's hard for somebody else. Doesn't mean that it's you're showing discipline. Try to command try to command yourself not to do it one day and see if you can. It's just one day. You're not gonna get fat. You're not gonna lose a bunch of strength. You're not gonna lose a bunch of muscle. It's just one day. And see how hard it is for you. And if it is, then you know that you're not showing discipline. You're just, if you don't do it, you're showing discipline because you kept your word to yourself even though you didn't want to do it. But you can start to realize, like, wow, I don't go to the gym because I'm a disciplined person. I go to the gym because I love going to the gym. And once you get to that point, you can start realizing that you need to grow your discipline because you really don't do. I'm just speaking about myself. I really don't do that many hard things. I really just do a lot of stuff that I like. And, from the outside looking in, that's discipline. I go on, 20-mile hikes. I love that. I go to the gym every day. I love that. I meal prep every day. I love that. It tastes so good and it's so healthy for you. And I feel so good. I eat healthy. I love that. I don't take cold showers. I wish I did. Right there. That's where I need to show discipline. As always, these videos are all over the place, but I like them better this way. I hope you do too.